The construction industry, over $5 million project is 90% chance it's going to be off budget or over time. We make sure that projects on a program level are on time, on budget. Don't find a work or a job or a profession because it makes a lot of money. Find it because you like it, and if you're good enough at it, the market should reward you. You've got to read. You've got to read.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, where we talk about education, innovation, and the merging of the two. I have a very special guest with me today, the president of Frontline Advisory, veteran Jessy Milner. Jessy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Fernandez. Great to be here.
So I want to dig into your start. Right? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask about your GPA or any of those things like I do some guests. But tell me a little bit about where you come from, what you're doing, your education history, and then obviously I want to hear a little bit about your military background.
Absolutely. Well, the education was a very long route. Probably, college was, many people would have gotten a doctor degree at the medical degree, but I got an undergrad in finance from LSU. I was born and raised in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and got a degree from LSU in finance later in life, about 26 years old. So you can see now I started and sold a business during that time, a car detail business during that period. So I can make some excuses for the fun I had. But then I quickly moved to Atlanta, Georgia for about a year. 9/11 happened. And I'm a third generation military veteran. So at that point, I decided I felt the need to go do something. So at 27, a little later in life, I joined the military as an interrogator. Started out as an interrogator. Actually met my wife at a language school in California. So the Army issued me a wife, and we've been happily married ever since. So that's I will always say that the military gave me more than I could ever give it. So started out as an interrogator, did a deployment there, and decided when I came back that I'd go to Special Forces selection. And so fortunately, I was selected in a Green Beret, and after 14 years, I got out. During that period, I was in reserve status. So as I was also a soldier in the military, I was doing different types of contract work in D.C. for the various agencies, mostly as intelligence. Somewhere around sequestration time, our family was living in D.C., and we decided it was time to we'd been there for 8 or 9 years, and we decided it was just time to get out. Our family was growing, and we just wanted to move. So we decided to move to Austin, Texas, and we're actually Dripping Springs, Texas. And during that period, also got a job in Manhattan. So for 5 years, I was going back and forth from Manhattan doing program management for the government's Office of Storm Recovery for the Superstorm Sandy project, and going back and forth from here to Dripping Springs to Austin. Somewhere around year 2 in New York, the client, the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, asked, they had a certain spend. I think everybody kind of knows that service disabled veteran-owned designation. Well, it was relatively new. It was new. It was brand new in New York. And the client came up and said, "Hey, aren't you a veteran?" And, obviously yes. And, disabled, and I'm still fully functional, but I do have a disability rating, so that qualified as well. And they said, "Okay, well, if you want to start a business, we'll get you started." And so that's what happened. We started a business, and me and a partner at that point started a business, a Ranger buddy of mine, and we grew that. And it was a fantastic opportunity to go up and down New York and Manhattan, and nobody was filling this opportunity because there wasn't just there. So, all the big ones in our industry, we were able to work with relatively quickly. Somewhere around the year 3 or 4, an opportunity became available in Travis County, in Austin, to do what we do, which is, let me tell you a little bit more. I said program management. What we do is we make sure that projects on a program level are on time, on budget, contract compliance, all the vendors are being managed correctly, and the stakeholder engagement, stakeholder communication is in line. So that opportunity came to manage the Travis County bond program. We actually were supposed to partner with a much larger firm, very large firm, and about a week and a half before, they said that they were just going to pursue it by themselves. So we scrambled and we said, you know what, we're going to figure this out. I had to get home at that point. I'd been going back and forth between, the military and that job. I'd probably been away from my family a total of about 7.5 years at that point after 9 years. So we created a proposal in 3 or 4 days. We actually won the proposal, and then we created it, and then they said, okay, now you're going for an interview. And we had never done any of this. And so we worked hard and we went for the interview. We won the interview. So we won that work. And
I love it, man.
Yeah, it was a blessing. And, since that point, it's been about 5 years ago, we've gone from $300 million under management, 40 projects to we just found out, we're currently at about $2.4 billion and about 112
That's awesome.
projects under management. Yeah, we had one client, and now we have multiple clients up and down this area, this Austin area. So, we are a service disabled veteran owned business, and we are, our entire staff, but one person is a vet. So that DNA runs deep in our company, and we want to keep it that way.
That's awesome. No, I mean, that's outstanding. And first, thank you for your service and what you do for our country, what you continue to do for our country. That timeline gives me several questions, right? So when you got the nudge to start this second business, did you have to go back to your Van Wilder days at LSU when you started the original business? And did you pull any learning from that to be able to apply it to this?
It's a great question. And some of it, yes, some of it, the core is, I've been gifted with a lot of great things. I'm healthy, but at the end of the day, I will, in my team, and thank goodness, we're going to work harder than everybody else. And we're going to persevere, and we're going to figure out a way to get it done. And whether that's to learn a new material, whether that's to bring on an expert, whatever that is. And I think that core right there, makes up for a lot of the other deficiencies, whether it's experience or we will outwork you. And the client sees that too. The client sees that, that issue and they are that, that's what we do, and they really react to it. We try to become indispensable, in a way that's good, in a way that's adding value, in a way that we want it to be like how were we able to perform before these guys got here, and taking that attitude and figuring out, look, I'll sweep the floor tomorrow or I'll be in a board meeting, and that's just how it is. And yeah.
I mean, do you take some, I'm trying to draw a parallel between your service, right? And you're representing your clients and making sure that their projects are protected, taken care of, and using all your resources. Do you see a parallel there? Do you feel like, hey, this is our duty, or we said we were going to do this and we got to make sure that we execute that? Is there some of your military training that aligns exactly with that?
I think all of our military training, most of our military. So that's a great question. We get it asked quite a bit, and I will tell you. So the first thing we tell our clients, if they can kind of have some sort of perspective, is, look, we consider ourselves your chief of staff. And so being that chief of staff, we've got to stay on top of everything. We've got to make sure that you are protected, first of all, and you can be, our direct client or the constituents out there. Everything we do is for the constituents, the voting public out there that has these projects that need to go out, whether it's a road, a bridge, a police station. And we feel like this is us serving, getting this on time and on budget, making sure that, excuses are, I hate to say excuses aren't taken, but they aren't. What is the fix? How are we going to get through this? This is a no fail mission and so we take that perspective over, and just having that of like, okay, I understand these reasons, but how are we going to finish this and get this done? And that is very much was put in us in the military environment, and we're still serving the public. The public needs this stuff. Also, everybody, taxes come from people's pocketbook, and we want to make sure that our clients are the best stewards of that, and so is time. And so, we look at that in the same seriousness as we looked at other stuff in the military.
All right, so I got to ask you one on your experience as interrogator. How long, when you and your wife were dating, how long did you wait before you dropped that little nugget of, by the way, this is what I do?
Well, she knew. So remember, she's from the military. We went to the same school. She was a crypto linguist. So, which is, I'll give you an idea. So my wife has a top secret clearance. My wife is 80 times smarter than me. She's got an MBA. She's a teacher. And, she knew what we did. And I think that's the only way we made it through is she knew, all that stuff, but her job is, basically if somebody's going into a room, somebody speaking another language, she can hear them on the thing, while no matter where she and interpret that for that person who's walking in the room. So it's just, so she had a pretty,
she knew what she's getting into.
She knew exactly. She enjoyed it. So
now does she at least throws the brakes on, like, don't give me the interrogator.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, no. It's great with the kids, but yeah, she cuts that off.
She gives you the look, like, come on, man.
You're not gonna break this. You're not breaking me. Like,
that's funny, man. That's hilarious.
It's cool.
Something about the timeline, right? And as I found out very quickly, which I knew because everybody says in this business, capital management, program management, rarely does anything run exactly as it should in terms of timelines. And, I started thinking about that, and typically you have these timelines and then they're met or they're not met for whatever reason. What is the biggest reason that that's not happening, or people are not meeting those deadlines, those timelines for the work? Because it seems to be something that's very common in our line of work.
Yeah, no, it is. Now, obviously, there's multiple. I'm going to give you the superficial, and then I'm going to give you the core. So right now, there's multiple things in the industry that have happened, whether it be inflation, logistics, COVID, even heat. Heat around here is hampered. But so those are all things that were relatively unplanned, but could be significant. We would say, and we continue to say, and this is a very, very, very military, is planning. Inadequate planning in the beginning, inadequate getting people to sit at the table, come with rational estimates, solid estimates, whether it takes a little longer to get that done, to get that footprint outlined, to get that magnitude of work, to maybe understand some of the variables that will come up specific to that before you even start, and then how are you going to address that? We think there's no hard number, but 80% of a successful is based on planning, just because you get the planning in, and even the contingencies, you bake the contingencies to some degree in, and you get it done. And that timeline may not be it is the most ambitious reality wise, but it may not, the customer has to come to that agreement. But
Sure.
if you can get that done, it's always better to come in before than after. And we believe it's planning. We believe it's planning. And we also believe the second part, and you can go to our website because we actually have statistical analysis on these, the 5 major reasons. But the second one is communication, and a sense of urgency, kind of, is the designer talking to the right-of-way folks? Is the right-of-way folks talking to the engineers? Is the engineers talking to the GC to get you? I'm using a lot of industry language there, but I think you know it. And it's, is the municipalities talking to the municipal for the agreements? Like, where are we at, and are we doing it in advance? Are we doing it in enough concurrent activities versus sequenced activities where we're maximizing the clock?
That's, that seems to be with any business, the communication aspect is looms huge. And I was making a parallel to a friend, 20 years ago, you go into a doctor's office, and depending upon your doctor, you're going to wait, right? You were never not waiting, even if your appointment was at 9 o'clock, and it just seemed to be, and I was like, why, what is the issue with this? Why, if there's a 9 o'clock appointment, why am I here till 10:30 before I get to see the doctor? And then all of a sudden, you started seeing these urgent care facilities, or these ready clinics. And all of a sudden, there's not a wait anymore, right? You go in, you get seen. And if it's something minor, it's quick. You get your prescription, you do whatever you got to do. And I started thinking they're going to steal a lot of the general practice doctors because of efficiency. And, lo and behold, those places are making money hand over fist. I don't have a general practice because if I'm sick, I go there because I know I'm going to get in, and I don't have to schedule out, we can see you from 8 a.m. to somewhere between 12 p.m. And I was thinking, like, why can't we do that as capital management? And shouldn't we be doing that? Because if you were more efficient and you adhere not only to the timelines, but the communication and making sure everybody's aware of everything, that seems to be half the battle. I mean, am I in line there? Is that making sense, or am I off base there?
I feel like you're talking about our website, but yes, and we believe it's because the industry is ripe for a game-changing event, and you've seen them in Uber, Airbnb, things like that. I hate to say revolutionize but the per cap, the funding, the sources, the capital involved in capital projects around the country, around the world is huge. And if you look at just the statistically of how often they completed on time, on budget, any other industry, it would be an absolute failure. I mean, think about this. We look at flights when we miss a flight, or a flight when they, and you're like, Jesus, how come they can't get this order? I'm sorry, I said that word, but how come they can't get this in order? Like, you don't schedule them so tight or something, but that if you got a connecting flight, it's going to get canceled. Like, it's just, they are 50%. Okay. They're 53%, like, on that spectrum of having mishaps on that. You can look it up. The construction industry, over $5 million project is 90% chance it's going to be off budget or over time. You can look at our statistics on our thing and these are, how are we continuing to leverage it? And it's because the industry has accepted that, everyone knows, oh, you got a project, it'll be late. Like, that shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way. And, I think it's just right for, why is it? Yeah, you're on the same page. I think it's just right for, somebody needs to come revolutionize it. And that's what it is. And I think that, we believe that the reason, is because the construction industry the construction aspect is, I hate people, this is blasphemy.
Fire away. That's okay.
But the construction aspect is somewhat a support element to the larger effort. Like, it's a component. Now, it's a huge component, but finance, schedules, communications, vendor management, contract compliance, that's what's going to drive those, deltas to lead to an arbitrage opportunity. And because the construction is going to be the construction. Now, you can definitely, through technology, through being smart on ordering supplies and staying ahead, concurrent activities, getting folks out there, doing it right the first time, you can do that, more efficiently. Same with designs. You can build a better contract and have your specifications earlier and faster, QA, QC. But all of that is a workflow component. And people have been just focusing on making construction better, like just the construction. And the circle of the wheel is pretty shaved off on that.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah,
it's all interconnected.
You got to connect it, and that's what we believe. We believe, and we've proven it. In many cases, you can look at a record, and we're not. It's just that is where it's at. We believe that absolutely, construction industry is ripe. The outcomes that you're seeing would be unacceptable in any other industry. And,
love it.
They should be here because this is taxpayer money.
I love it. This work can be tedious with making sure everybody's on the same page and doing all the things that you have to do to make sure it goes well. What gets you excited about this advisory work and taking care of clients? Like, is there anything out there that's like, man, this is the reason I get up when this happens, or this is why we do what we do?
So there's obviously the selfish reason, which is, I have a fantastic team of unicorn, awesome vets, and we're growing vets, and we're doing something that is going to reward us.
I don't think that's very selfish, Jesse. I think that's a hell of a good reason to do this, to be honest with you. That's not selfish at all.
I guess that's a person.
I got you.
It. And then, but also, and you do have to, sometimes you have to take a step back and kind of remember this, but we want to change the entire game. We don't want, we want, and we think that, the counties and the cities, and this in Texas, and it depends on where you go and how you're measuring, but every one of them in this area is going to say we're the fastest growing city or fastest growing county in the nation. And it depends how you measure that, but many are right, whether it's population percentage or whatever, or whether it's, and, you're seeing a chance where these cities, these municipalities, these counties are going from relatively small to mid-size, or in some areas, very large, especially and this will be the first time that they really implement these new, because they're going to have to do bonds. They're going to have to improve infrastructure. If we can get these, we wrote a book so anybody can access what we do, just because we believe that if we can get people to follow more efficient processes and to do this in a more comprehensive program perspective, we could revolutionize. I keep going back, but we could change the entire industry for the better. And that's why that gets us excited, because if we could be a part of changing the way business is done for the better, and it improves the lives of millions of people. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, we believe we have an idea, and we have, and we've done it enough times that it looks like it's going to work. Or, we're still a startup, but it looks like it's going to work, and it has been working. Spreading this out would change everything. It would make everything better, and that's how that gets us up as well. That gets us excited, because as we grow, we can continue to prove a concept.
So, because we talk a lot about education, I talk to a lot of superintendents and people in the education world. Let's drill down a little bit. What is some advice you would give to your 13-year-old self? If you had to go back and give your own self advice about what to prepare, how to prepare, what's coming, what skills will you need to enter this workforce as it continually evolves? What are some of the things that you would give yourself?
Whew. I would tell that kid he needs to stay in the house. But I grew up as an only child from a single family home, and me and my mother will tell you we raised each other, and I would say one, and this is more of advice just in general, I would say read. You've got to read. You've got to read. And For me, I would say start reading about some greatest people in the world that have ever lived. Whether it's, you can make that determination, but start reading those lives. Start reading what they did, and start kind of understanding the principles of life. Whether that's the cardinal virtues or great, but just start learning the basic truths, because there are, and I don't want to get off this, but there are, we believe, honesty and integrity and the things that we believe in as a firm, these values, they work. Hard work, things like that, they work. And I think if we could instill that more into that younger group, because what they're going to face is not, I couldn't, I could give you a say, hey, get a good engineering, get good at, AI, but at the end of the day, get around, and who do you hang around? And that's it. What are you reading? Who are you hanging around? And try to learn the truths of just honesty, integrity, being a good person, being kind, working harder than everybody else, service, learn those things, and a lot of kids are, but, learn those truths. And if you learn those truths and that wisdom, I don't want to sound like the man in the mountain, but I think if you learn those truths and that wisdom, you can use those basic fundamental tools to be successful. Like, Dr. Fernandez, those people who are successful in whether the education or the business field, they have a core set of values, and they may be different nuances, but
right.
They're at, certain things that they all do are the same, certain traits, certain activities. And those are more of what I would focus on and teach. But learn those. Stop trying to chase money. Stop trying to be the most, followed person. You do the right thing, and you do it long enough, people, you'll serve kings.
So what I'm hearing you say is you can't escape the work. That work may look different, but you got to put the work in, right? And this is something that I try to tell my three all the time. Like, you cannot escape the work if you want to be good at something. It doesn't matter what it is. And the other is you got to find your purpose and be a good person and find your purpose, and not find a job, but find your purpose. And my jobs have changed. My roles have changed. My purpose has not. I'm in this to help kids, help schools. I love everything about education. This is a new avenue for me to be able to do that, but the purpose doesn't change. The purpose is the same in the core. And I love what you said, man. Just read. I mean, every day it's like, guys, get your 20 minutes in, and they kind of roll their eyes. I'm like, that's the most fundamental thing that we're going to have to be able to do is communicate and understand what you're reading. So I appreciate you backing me up there on that. I'm going to show them that a couple of times. Say, hey,
you mentioned two things there, and I'm going to try to go to mine that are around that age, and I tell them, and I think it's, the social media gives you the social media. I sound old already. The social media gives you these snippets, and it's the most manufactured, most prepped snippets of this person's life, whether it's some sort of trick shot, whatever it is. That is not the comprehensive look, one. So understand that's, get that out of your head. And the second point is, you're right. You brought something up that I don't find a work or a job or a profession because it makes a lot of money. Find it because you like it. And if you're good enough at it, you have to support yourself. But if you're good enough at it, the market will probably should reward you.
Absolutely. I want to transition because you have a very special project that you've been working on in your hometown of Dripping Springs there. And it's a support of veterans. Can you tell us a little bit about that project? And, it's called Patriots Hall, but I don't want to steal your thunder. Please tell us a little bit about that and the why behind it.
Sure. So Patriots Hall, you did it. We're very excited about Patriots Hall, and I have the honor of being a member of the board there, and it's just such a privilege. But Patriots Hall is a relatively new endeavor. I mean, it's been around for a few years. We do have a building there. We are hosting some events here in Dripping Springs. Let me backtrack to give you an idea. Dripping Springs is just southwest of Austin proper. In this 35-mile radius of Dripping Springs, you have the highest concentrations of vets in the country. You have Fort Hood to your north, and you have a host of different veteran or military facilities in San Antonio. And then most people, there's a large pool for this area. Pool as in people, veterans wanting to come here. I know for us, when I was in, that was always it. Hey, you should check out Austin. There's a large special. My neighborhood alone has 4 Green Berets and 2 SEALs. So
wow.
It's just, it's a crazy thing. And, so we said, hey, Catherine Chandler and her husband, Kyle, I don't know. Kyle Chandler is Friday Night Lights. He's an actor, but Catherine had an initiative. She started it here. She's basically, her father was a vet, and she wanted to create something to kind of memorialize him, and also, she wanted to create a facility here to help vets. And so along the way, she's put this together, and we do have one building, and we're finishing up. We're actually in the middle of building the final 2, at least in this phase. And our goal is to bring these veterans together to help, a host of different things. But obviously the suicide is one of our main issues, just because it's not going anywhere. And we all know people in this that have experienced this, but also, and we think in some ways hand in hand is that transition. And we don't want to say the transition period. We want to say, how can we on a professional level get an individual coming out to get that job, to get that business opportunity, maybe to be that entrepreneur, to have that understanding of, okay, here's the way, and here's the guidance, and here's what you should be thinking about, here's what you should be doing, and being there the entire time, because that transition going well, ultimately leads to, the feelings outcome. I hate to say the feelings outcome, but the sense of self-worth,
absolutely purpose.
So if we can get that right, get them anchored, get them moving forward, have a group of, like-minded people that we can even come watch a game or have a barbecue or an obstacle course, which is there, and things like that. As they're growing, as they're maybe also getting things like a PMP or a certification for which we can do on site, speech lessons, things like that, interview lessons, things like that. We can build that organization. We actually have pretty ambitious hopes that, maybe this can be the start of even more. And so, we've had some really good feedback. Everything, all the contributions for all these buildings and everything has come just local. So it's local donations. We don't have any larger. So we're at $10 million right now. And we just want to grow. And we encourage you, patriotshall.org. Please go check it out. If you're in the area, matter of fact, Dr. Fernandez, if you want to come as well, if you're in the area on the 28th of September, we're having a clay shoot at Hog Heaven here in Dripping Springs area. It's on the website, or you can reach out to me directly. All veterans, it's free. So it's a great time. We have about 100 people coming already. So that's twice as many as last year. And
I love it, man.
I don't know the facility, you've ever been there, but it's a beautiful facility. It's like, I don't know if you've ever skeet shooting before.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you about it.
It's Texas, baby.
I was about to say.
Absolutely.
So it's not just, I was back in the day, I was like, oh, pool, and the thing comes out in front of you. No. It's each one has a station, and each station has a different configuration of the clay targets that go out. So
I mean, I embarrassingly, last time my wife and her twin sister destroyed all of us. It was kind of So our family, we love all of that stuff, man. That's amazing what you're doing for veterans, and man, I'd love to support or help or be a part. I mean, that's just awesome work. My dad, both my uncles, my stepdad, my grandfather, all veterans, and my brother and I, first generation college students, but they loved their time. They learned so much and have so many relationships because of the great things that happen in our military. So, and that brings me this is the last question I want to ask, because there's been last 10 years, man, as an educator and watching some of my fellow educators just around the country, there's so much, you feel like there's so much negative out there, whether it's political, whether it's, and I don't buy into all that, but I just want to ask you, why do you love this country? Beyond all the other stuff, that's going on, I just want to, like, from your core, like, Why do you love this country?
Well, this is tough. It's not tough. It's just tough to. Let me tell you the inverse of that somewhat. I love this country, not just because I served and I've made so many great friends and I can, I've had that. That's obvious. I love this country because I've been to countries, and I encourage everybody to. I don't want you shouldn't go, but you should go to see other countries where we take, and this sounds cliche, but you don't know. We take things like a police, and I don't want to get into that political discussion. I'm just saying, police, a judge, a Walmart. Forget Amazon delivering to your house in 30 minutes. It's like we our DoorDash. We take the ability to go to sleep at night and not worry about somebody. Let's just say a terrorist coming knocking on our door and saying, we're going to sleep at your house tonight. And not just being concerned about them, but being concerned about, what are the implications of housing a terrorist? But, these things which we take for granted, driving down the street and knowing that nothing is going to explode, it's just... the day-to-day stuff that we experience that I don't want to say we don't appreciate it.
We take it for granted,
but that's why I love it. I love it. And I love it because as an entrepreneur, I can have any crazy idea. I mean, legally, and try it out and try and see what it works and see if it doesn't. And there's just so much here, and there's so much, to I don't know. It's hard to. You got me speechless on this, but go somewhere else, and you'll see that, like, oh my gosh, we have a lot of problems, and we have, you put 300 million people in a room, and not everyone's going to agree. You put 3 people in a room, and not everyone's going to agree. Like, it's just, what is the bigger issue? What is the bigger thing? And we'll get to that point, but. It's that it's understanding what we have here when you go somewhere else and you come back and you're like, I'll take air conditioning, like just air conditioning. It's, just the ability to turn on the air conditioning and get angry or get upset when it doesn't work all the time. We talk about, there's electric grid issues and we're out for a day. Well, they're out forever or for every day. And I can call a guy or gal and she can come within a day or two to fix it. Like, this is not normal. I mean, for a lot of countries. This
is still the greatest place in this world.
In my opinion, absolutely. And you have a tough time convincing me otherwise. Yeah.
100%. All right. I want to leave this final thought. What is your favorite military movie? You got to pick one.
So
you got to give me one.
I got it, but it's good. Major Pain. And
with David Wayans?
Yes. Because me and my son have had, but even before then,
you got to give me one of the lines. You know that by heart. Do one of the lines for me.
You want me to take your mind off that pain, boy? And I think we have don't get me started. I know the whole script. Like, it's just I've seen it hundreds of times. Or obviously Tropic Thunder. So it's
oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I know you want me to say Saving Private Ryan. All those are great. Black Hawk Down is great. All those are great. But yeah, if Major Pain's on, I'm watching.
I would have lost that bet 100 times out of 100 to think that I've never heard that. That's hysterical. I love that movie too, man.
It's a travesty that they didn't make a sequel. It's a travesty.
Well, Jessy, man, I just want to thank you for your time. I didn't mean to keep you this long today, but man, just learning about you and hearing and just your passion, not only for the work and your service to your clients, but also the work for your veterans and all of our veterans. And I did not know that Dripping Springs had that concentration. And man, it's just continue. And if we can ever support, we would love to. Maybe Mark, we come out there and do a little episode out there at one of the events. So
Come to the groundbreaking.
Yeah, maybe we can get that. Maybe we can get that done, man.
Absolutely, that would be great.
That would be awesome. And I appreciate everything that you're doing, your service. And I know we're going to get to work together sometime in the near future. So
Absolutely.
We'll keep that communication. But just thanks for being here today, man. I really, really appreciate it.
All right, brother. I appreciate it as well. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. This is a great show.
Produced by Podcast Architects.